Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. It's time for Taroscopes again. Taroscopes for the sign of Libra. That's Libra Sun, Libra Moon, Libra Rising for the month of October. Of course, October is a Libra month, along with the end of September. And there's a lot of things going on for you, Libra. Luckily, your ruling planet Venus is now moving forward in Leo. And we'll move into Virgo on the 8th, I think. But let's take a look at the astrology. I have some visual aids, folks. All right, this is not you. Let's get to Libra. Let's see, which direction am I going? Here we go, Libra. So, Libra, God bless you. It's been really hard, hasn't it? Ever since July, when the nodes moved into your sign, South Node moved into Libra, and then in a very, very tight square to Pluto. And the resolution node being that South Node in Libra means that there's been a lot of energy around Libra issues. And of course, probably the most evident is all the court cases coming down, all the justice, trying to be fair, trying to move forward in the fairest way possible, really around people who don't play fair. So it's a real struggle. And for a Libra who really is about fairness and seeing both sides of things and having to come to some sort of conclusion around that, it has been difficult. As we start the month, the sun is in your sign, so it's in your first house. You're shining bright. We also have your ruling planet, Venus, still in Leo, in your house of friends. But it does quickly move into Virgo on the 8th of October, and that's your 12th house. Venus in Virgo, moving through your 12th house, is always going to be a little bit of a challenge for you, because the 12th house puts us in touch with how we undo ourselves. And one of the many ways that Libra can undo itself is by giving away its power in order to keep the peace. And when you're working with people who maybe have no awareness of the other or don't really care what other people think and it's all about them, it makes it especially difficult. And it's easy enough to get overrun by that kind of energy. Mars, however, which is sort of that kind of energy running over things, actually is in Libra right now as we start the month. And so you have that Mars in the first house. So even though there's a lot of, we could call it aggression towards fairness, as it were, you have the strength and you have the energy to face that. But there are adjustments that need to be made with Venus moving through that 12th house. And this is a time to stand in your power as opposed to giving it away. No relationship is worth giving your essence away to. It's worth sharing your essence with another who's willing to share their essence with you. But lessons, right, of Libra. With Pluto square the nodes and the South Node being in Libra, there's been a renegotiation of contracts as well as up and comings for abuses of power through the legal system. And it's right there, right front and center for you, right? It's right in that first house. And so you're not just watching it, but you're sort of living it in a way. We do have a new moon solar eclipse this month and a full moon lunar eclipse. It is eclipse season. Remember, the last eclipse season was in April. 6 months later, we have the next eclipse season. This is a South Node eclipse season. So it's still really about letting go and then letting go in order to allow the new to come in. That new moon is in your first house. It's very powerful. It's sort of, and we have Mars there and we have Mercury there. And so there's an energy of putting your mind and your energy into the self, the expression of self. And of course, in Libra, it's about balance and fairness and justice and beauty, being Venus ruled. So that particular solar eclipse, which is happening on the 14th of October, the North Node being in your house of relationship is there with Eris. And Eris is very close conjunction to the North Node. And that is, Eris is the goddess of discord. So your relationships may be discordant at this time. Well, actually, that's true of all of us, but especially for Libra, because it's a focused time, and the eclipses are happening in that sign. Now, we also have the full moon eclipse, which is happening on the 28th, but that's in Taurus. So that brings in more energy of the time when the nodes were in Scorpio and Taurus, which runs from January of 2022 to July of 2023. So that like 18-month period. During that 18-month period is when we started the war in the Ukraine, wasn't it? At that time. So that's, we can see that like being expressed in itself. Interestingly enough, Putin is a Libra, and in a way he's under the stress as well. So what else? Then the sun moves into Scorpio. That happens on the 23rd. On the 22nd, the day before, Mercury moves into Scorpio. And Mars moves into Scorpio earlier than that. Let's see, Mars moves into Scorpio on the 12th. But the very, very beginning of the month is real intense, especially up to the eclipse on the 14th. After that, things sort of ease a little, but nothing is easy this month. But we'll see what the cards say, the best way to move through this. So Venus starts the month in Leo, moves into Virgo. Mercury starts the month in Virgo, out of its retrograde shadow now, moving forward, and quickly moves into your sign. So you will be speaking up for yourself in, of course, the most nice, fair, balanced way that you can muster. And then Mercury actually moves into Scorpio, right? So Mercury, which spent a whole lot of time in that 12th house for you, right? As it was retrograde back and forth in that 12th house, your mind going, like, how you undo yourself, And so now it's about like doing it differently, right? Asserting yourself and not allowing people, there's nothing across your forehead that says doormat. People may think that because you're so nice and kind and considerate and you listen to them and then you let them say their thing. But when push comes to shove, it's all about what's fair for you. And if it ain't fair for you and it ain't fair to you, you're going to say something. And you need to. You really need to. Okay, so we talked about all those planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars. The social planets, which are Jupiter and Saturn, they deal with how we interact with society, how we interact in society, the expansion of society, the retrogression of society. They're both moving backwards. So we're reviewing. There is this sense of, oh, come on, haven't we gotten past this? Not quite yet. Not quite yet. Jupiter is in Taurus, moves from 15 degrees to 11 degrees of Taurus this month. Of course, we have the full moon in Taurus. That full moon is occurring on the 28th. It's in your house of other people's, your resources that you share with others, taxes, things like that. And then the sun which is always opposite the moon at the full moon, is going to be in your second house. So there's a realization, there's an opening up, there's an awareness around what you value and the values you share with others. Now that could be a realization that, oh, we share the same values. That's great. Or it could be a realization that because you don't share the same values, that this is a natural time to move away or move out of that situation. And it's an eclipse. So when it happens quick. Okay. Saturn moving retrograde still very slowly. It only moves a degree this month, from 1.5 degrees of Pisces to 0.5 degree of Pisces. It's going to go direct in November 4th, I think it is, right at the beginning of November. So it's moving so slow because it's slowing down to turn around, and it's in Pisces. And for you, Pisces, let's see, where is Saturn here? This is your house of health. It's really important that you make sure you're taking care of your health at this time. Especially around issues of toxicity. So this is a good time. Cleansing, the Libra rules the kidneys. So anything that's going to help to sort of flush that out, help to flush out toxins out of your system. What comes to mind is dandelions. They're very good for that. Just make sure you're hydrated to help to move those things out of your system. It's sometimes difficult to diagnose things for you. And so homeostasis, trying to keep that homeostasis, is a little bit more challenging now, but you need to attend to that. It's real important that you do that for yourself. So make sure the self-care is there. Make sure you're supporting your ability to excrete toxins, whether they be emotional toxins or actual physical toxins. So be careful of what I would stay away from. Stimulants, so things that that stress the kidney and the like. Okay. And then we have the transpersonal planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, all moving backwards as we start the month. These are the sort of the engines of evolution as for us as a society to move forward. And sometimes it's a personal evolution as well when they're touching our planets, our personal planets. Uranus is in Taurus, of course, that's your house of shared resources. It's also, not just your resources are not just your money, but it's also your emotions, your feelings, your focus, your desires. Things are getting shook up in that area of your life, and it's going to require you to approach things in a different way on an emotional level. It forces you to do that. It sort of shakes you out of any emotional doldrums in a way. And of course, Jupiter is there as well, and the eclipse is happening there. So there's going to be quite a bit of shakeup of the emotional doldrums if you happen to have any. All right. And Neptune, of course, in that 6th house since 2011, there for 14 years. It's a sensitive time for Libras and their health. So you really have to, sometimes you can say no to people because of your health, and that's okay. You can't be everything for everyone. You have to make sure you're there for yourself as well. And Pluto, which actually starts retrograde, stays in the 28th degree of Capricorn all month. And so if you're a latter degree Libra, right at the end of Libra before it moves into Scorpio, Pluto is squaring with your Libra planets, and that is crisis in action. And Pluto in Capricorn is about empowerment or a sense of disempowerment, and you're really building the foundations to move forward in an empowered way, as opposed to that giving up your power kind of unempowered way, and you know, having to be the repository for everybody's bullshit. Ooh, sorry. Did I say that out loud? That's changing. Now it is going to it's going to turn direct on the 10th. That's a 1010 portal. Very interesting portal for you, Libra, because it happens in Libra. And so things are going to start to shift and change at that time. Anytime Pluto changes direction, there's a shakeup, and it's in your 4th house. So if you're in earthquake prone areas, be aware that that is a possibility around the 10th, or just a shakeup in general at the roots of something. And then and it's going to go back into Aquarius in January, and it's in Aquarius for most of the year, except for about a 3-month period from September to the middle of November, when it goes back into that last degree of Capricorn, the period at the end of a very long sentence, and then moves on into Aquarius, where it stays for 20 years. And that is when it moves into Aquarius, that is your house of creative self-expression, children, fun. It's your Leo house. So it's been really a real slog, hasn't it been? And once it starts to move into that, it's going to lighten up for you a bit. So and then big things, big creations and all the rest in the subsequent, is that the word? Decades. So we got plenty of time to have fun. Right now we're just trying to move through the changes that are happening both to you and to all of us. It's not just a Libra thing. But Libra seems to be getting somewhat of the brunt of stuff. Now, if you notice here on this chart, these are the personal planets are the Sun, the Moon, of course, Venus, Mercury, Mars. And for a lot of the month, they're in this area. So it's really about focusing on yourself way more than it is about focusing on anybody else this month. So remember that. Okay, I think that's all I want to say. So we're going to do a card reading, and I'm not going to use the Thoth deck because you guys have enough to deal with. Sorry. Michael just brought me up my coffee, so I want to drink it while it's hot. I'm going to use the Good Tarot because you guys deserve it. I love this tarot. This is by Colette Baron Reed. I'll be using her Oracle deck as well. I wonder if she's a Libra. I should check that out. Maybe she's a Sag. I saw her once, and she struck me as having Libra Sag energy, but I could be wrong. I didn't look at her chart. I'm sure we could find out. Most people who do this kind of work are willing to put their charts up, or certainly their information, their birth information. Oops, I have a couple of. Wow, that's weird. I had a couple of cards that were like totally in the wrong direction. That never happens. Wow. It was the Queen of Swords, I think. All right. Let's see. Let's do a couple of quick shuffles here. Oops, there we go. Yesterday I was doing the water signs, and every time I went to shuffle, immediately the first card, like a card, flew out across the room. So far, the cards have stayed in my hands today. Okay. We have the King of Earth starting the reading. This is the King of Pentacles. This is a good card to start with, especially with all the chaos going on in the world, because this says that you know your value. There's a sense of, no, this is what's important to me. This is who I am. I'm standing strong. I'm standing stable. I like that. Let's see what challenges that. Temptation. Ooh, perhaps the temptation to go back into the old ways. standing up for yourself is not easy. And so sometimes you're like, oh, maybe I'll just go back to the way I was. Don't be tempted. You have the strength at the root of this. You have the power. You have the strength. Stick with it. Stick with it. This isn't going to go on forever, but it's very important this month that you stand in your power and you speak your truth if asked. In the past, we have the 10 of water. This is happiness, the 10 of cups. Sometimes that 10 of cups can be a little bit, well, I wouldn't say it's illusionary. But I think that you've had satisfaction. You've felt that. It's not something that was an illusion for you. It was real, a real happiness, a real joy. In this deck, this is the Laughing Buddha, it's a beautiful energy of just like, don't worry, be happy. That's in the past. Let's see what's in the sky. The Two of Earth. So this is there is some having to balance the scales a little bit here, rob Peter to pay Paul kind of stuff. It's so what Spirit is saying is keep your balance through the emotional ups and downs. Keep your balance, even though there's a lot of emotionality out there. Your immediate future and the card for the month is the Nine of Fire. And this is about healthy boundaries. Real important to have healthy boundaries, to focus on your beliefs, on your light, and to be willing to stand up for yourself. Yeah. How it's seen from outside. The Page of Waters. Good news. People like you. People just like you. They see you a little bit as an innocent, though. And I'm not sure that that's really true of you, but that's how they see you, and that's okay, because let them think that you're an innocent. People who are well-intended take care of innocence. People who are not well-intended, think they can get away, but they can't because you won't let them. Your domestic situation. Yes, the Queen of Air. This is the Queen of Swords. Nobody's going to mess with you. You have to keep a very focused, fair, weighing all options kind of energy. Okay, very Libran. The Queen of Air is actually an Aquarius card. But it's also has that energy of Libra as well, because it's air, it's about the sword, it's about wisdom. You're going to need to utilize your wisdom in your environment this month, but don't bring the sword down too fast, right? It's not about cutting people out, but it's about really having the discernment necessary to make the decisions about what's best in the situation you find yourself in. Hopes and fears. Abandonment, we all fear that, honestly. I mean, who doesn't? Outcome. The Seven of Air. You have the ability to see who's lying and who's not. Who's like, there's sevens are about analysis. A lot of analysis coming up. Let's see if we can get a major arcana within 3. The Magician. Yeah, so this is focused intention. So you really have to be on your game. You really have to stand in your strength this month. You really have to utilize all your capabilities and all your discernment when it comes to issues of balance and fairness and justice. Remembering that you are strong enough to do this. In a way, this is your moment. Okay, let's see what's underneath it. The Ace of Fire. This is the beginning of creativity. This is Spirit. I love this card. The Five of Air. You're gonna have to do some dancing, balancing, a lot of balancing, in a time when you're surrounded by people who are not balanced, okay? And then the King of Fire, which makes you coming from your heart, being in your power. Interesting, you start with a king, you end with a king. Kings are about dominion. Kings are about leadership. So you may be called into a leadership role this month, and you're strong enough to do it, and you're smart enough to do it. You have to keep your boundaries. Don't be tempted to go back into La La Land. It's kind of like Barbie, right? She was in La La Land, and then boop, she comes into Earth, and then she gets serious. Then things get serious, things get real, and she finds her power, just like you. All right. I haven't actually seen the Barbie movie, so I might be missing some things on that, but that's what it feels like to me. And of course, Venus has been retrograde, right? Venus is your ruling planet. She was retrograde. She went to the heart of the sun. She had to give up everything, including her ego, and then come out the other side. And she's your ruling planet, and now she's on the move, and she's going to fix what's broken, and both, you know, within our own personal lives, but also in the collective. All right, let's see what animal oracle we can pick now, and see what. Whoops. Okay, let's do that. All right. What animal comes forward for Libra? What animal has to speak? What animal wants to speak to Libra? Oops. I dropped something, but not a card this time. Okay. Owl spirit. Oh my God, and there was an owl, and remember in the domestic situation, we had the Queen of Air, and she had the owl on her shoulder. Wow, this really is your time. You see clearly now, the rain is gone. That's what it says. You see clearly now. You can see all obstacles in your way. Gone are the dark clouds that had you blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Okay, let's see. The owl spirit arrives to remind you that the wisdom within you is informed by your keen senses and the wisdom within, the consciousness we all share. Even in the darkest night, the owl sees clearly and is guided by every sense it has, including the first sense of intuition. Right now, your sensitivities are turbocharged and you are receiving messages from all directions. Owl spirit reminds you to be wise and pay attention to what's between the lines, what is invisible to the naked eye, what cannot be heard with the ears, and what others may not be able to perceive. With all your senses aroused, you have much knowledge available to you. Clarity will come as you sit with all that you are sensing, allowing your intuition to guide you in understanding the whole and not just the parts. Let your wisdom arise and be your guide as you trust the acuity of all your senses. Intuition is real and can provide the clarity you need to understand your situation right now. Your relationship, your finances, your job, whatever it is, you can see the truth clearly. This is your moment, Libra. Yeah, stand in your strength. Ooh, I'm getting chills. What a month it's going to be. All right, have yourself a wonderful month. Stand strong. If you would like a reading with me, I do offer those astrology, Kabbalah, numerology readings. I have an hour and an hour and a half reading available. And, whatever you can afford, really, I try to keep it relatively reasonable for people. If you'd like to support, you can give me the thumbs up. That always helps with the algorithms. If that's all you can do, I truly, truly appreciate it. If you'd like to do a little bit more, there is an option. You can become a patron for as little as $5 a month. And you get these videos sooner than anybody else. And there are a few special things on the Patreon page that people on YouTube don't get to see. And the more patrons I get, the more I can do that for you. So an investment in me is an investment in the channel, is an investment in the kind of information that'll be available to you. And other than that, I'll see you again next month. And we'll see where we are by then, right? It's going to be, we're living in interesting times, right? Okay. Take care, everyone. Namaste. You can do it.